and he said, take medication. Supposed to take a certain number of drops of this medicine, starting out with a couple drops and building it up, for time to counteract what had happened because of the digitalis. And then he said, you can go into the hospital, and take out my tonsils, and you may be able to go back to work. And so that's what happened. And I went into the hospital and they took out my tonsils. I was in the hospital for 2 weeks when they took out my tonsils, because after 3 or 4 days or so, they thought I was going to have coming up with an infection, And so with me, it wasn't like with you kids.
Right.
You went down to the doctor's
right.
office. They took out your tonsils.
Brought us back home.
Later in the day, you were eating ice cream.
Right, I remember that.
And I didn't have anything for 3 days. I remember after 3 days, they finally said, well, we're going to give you some broth. And boy, that just tasted so good, And but it worked out that way. They took out my tonsils, and I was in for 2 weeks, and then I was home for, I don't know, a week or so. And then they said, he said, well, okay, you could go back to work.
Okay. From the moment that you had you couldn't go to work that day because of your heart, until you went back to work, how long was that period of time?
6 months.
Okay. Now, did Goodyear,
And
how did they handle that?
at the time, see, I had transferred back to Good Tires.
Right.
When I went back to Tires, this job was an hourly rated job.
I see.
And so I was on hourly rate.
So you didn't have the benefits of a salary job.
I didn't have the benefits of salary. And so all I got, we belonged to the Relief Association, and we got $12 a week.
$12 a week.
Yeah. And that was it.
What would you say, I mean, I know that's difficult, but about how much money would you say that would be today? Give me some equivalent.
Well, we were paying $18 a month rent for that house.
All right.
So the house catty corner across the street.
So, right.
What would you pay for a house like that now?
Right,
Say,
sure.
That would be the difference.
Okay, so $12 a month is what you're getting.
Yeah, $12.
Okay.
$12 a week.
A week, rather.
Yeah,
Yeah, $12 a week.
And that's what we lived on.
That's what you lived on.
I had, I'd had a garden across Arlington Street,
Right.
there, about a half acre, big garden, and Viv would go over there and get things
Work the
out.
garden and that.
Yeah, and get things out of the garden and so on, and
Am I wrong?
we got by.
Did Mom do some work during that time to help out, or was it just the garden? What do I remember? I mean, did she
She may have done
some,
temporary,
taken in some washing and ironing, or doing something like that?
She did some washing
And ironing. Because I remember her putting stuff in the car and taking it someplace.
She did some washing and ironing, and she did some temporary work. I can't think what other things she might have
but
done.
she did some other things to help out.
To help out.
Right. And tell me what you remember from your standpoint about what happened with Joyce.
Well, Viv was going to go, get over to the garden, I believe, to get some things. And she got in the car, and the kids, Joyce and you, were around the back of the house. And so she thought, well, she'd go. And you came running around the house, and of course there was
there was an embankment. We came around up on the upper lawn in front of the house.
Upper lawn, this bank, and the drive, down here.
Right. The drive was lower than the bank, and lower than the front of the house.
Yeah. And Joyce slipped on that bank, and just as Viv got there, Viv didn't, you were back at the back of the house when she started.
Right.
And you came running around, and Joyce slipped down, and she just ran right over her. She was under the car, and she said, what did she say? She said, I believe she said to you, where's Joyce?
Where's Joyce?
And you said, you ran over her.
She just ran over her.
And
Boy, that must have been horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that? I mean, do you remember what that was like?
Oh, heck, yes, that was, you know, that
Yeah.
was really rough.
That was hard for you. You were,
Oh, yeah.
you
with the
couldn't
heart.
go or with your heart and that, and Mom had to take care of it.
My mom took her down right away to
Right.
the doctor's office down there on Arlington
And
Street.
she was really messed up, right?
And, the
Her
doctor.
pelvis was crushed, and
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah.
Isn't that right?
Pelvis was broken.
Yeah.
And, they weren't sure but whether the bladder might have been
Mhm.
broken, you know,
Right.
and so on.
Internal injuries.
And, yeah,
Because
internal
she
injuries.
backed over with the car.
And so they said, well, it'll be, I don't know, 12 hours or whatever, 20 before we know, you know,
Yeah.
what happened there. And,
Was she in the hospital during that whole time?
I don't remember whether she even went to the hospital.
Then because I remember her, or hearing about it, or remember her in, what I remember, I don't know what it was. I remember a crib like that or something that she was in
Yeah,
the
I
living
was
room,
over on this side.
strapped to a board. I remember being strapped to a board or
Yeah,
something.
I was over on this side in the bed. And we put a crib over on the other side.
Right,
And she was in that, and she had
to be strapped
bags
down.
around her
Right,
to
keep her
from moving
immobilized.
and so on. Yeah. And so there were both of us,
Right.
you know, be taken care of.
Well, that was a hard time.
Oh, it
And
was
for
tough.
Mother, a real hard time. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
just because she was the only adult in the family up and moving.
And, you know, the money
Exactly.
and so on, so yeah.
Wow, that was a hard time.
Really rough time. And, I remember, Goodyear, I was getting toward winter, and Goodyear, came out and they put coal in the coal cellar for us.
Wow, that was nice of them.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to do that.
Oh, no, there was a Litchfield, what do they call it, Litchfield Welfare Fund or something, and they did that for us. They put coal in for us because we just didn't have the money. And then it wasn't too long after that I did get back to work.
And how long was Joyce laid up for?
You know, I don't remember how long it was that she was laid up, but she was laid up there for quite some time.
Months?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably more than that,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I don't remember just how long time it was.
Yeah.
And,
But let's stop for a minute.